Hi, my name is Akram Azimi.
And my name is Michael Sheldrick.
I'm incredibly fortunate to be studying at the University of Western Australia, doing a triple major in law, arts and science.
And I've just graduated as of last week actually with a Bachelor of Law degree and a Bachelor of Arts degree, also from the University of Western Australia.
3 years ago, we met at the Tony Blair Fate Foundation conference in 2010 in Singapore. I remember we had to go out into the streets of Singapore and actually see how people live their lives. Singapore is a really interesting space because it's very, very small and there's a lot of people living there and a lot of people with different faiths living there. So what I saw was different faith domains overlapping onto the same physical space. And two different themes emerged. On one hand, we saw spaces in which religious differences were a source of conflict, a source of tension. And then there were spaces in which we saw that religious difference was actually a source of cooperation. That was an incredibly interesting tension that we got to explore, and it really highlighted religion's role both as this olive branch and as this sword. It was this tension that we got to explore once we got back home, and we got to explore it with Dr. Deborah McDougall, a phenomenal teacher.
Yeah, you know what? I've spent a total of 7 years at the University of Western Australia, where we are now in fact, doing a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Law degree. But I've never been part of a unit where afterwards a student has walked out and described it with one word, and that is inspiring. But such was Deborah's, capacity to challenge students in an enjoyable, provocative, fun, engaging way. That's precisely what students walked out of her lectures saying. I think it sums up really well the influence of Deborah's unit, because unlike a lot of courses out there, this challenged students not just to think about what they want to do as a career after they leave university, but it also challenged them to think critically about their place in broader society and their role in the world. Deborah was fantastic in terms of bringing in, expert teachers from various different religious faiths and backgrounds to speak to us. We had panels, we had, interfaith student banquets which explored the realm of extreme poverty and the role that religion might play in terms of alleviating that. And I guess for me, leaving it, one of the key, points that came out of it for me, and something which I've advised others, is really, in an age when, contrary to the thesis of modernity, the number of people professing any kind of belief in a religious deity isn't declining, it's actually increasing, and at quite a fast, rapid rate. What is the role of religion in broader society? How is it going to interact with issues such as conflict, peace, violence, extreme poverty, all these issues? And I guess, people say, should I study religion? I'm not really religious, I don't have much of an interest. And I actually think because of that, because of the fact that religion is set to be one of the broadest, most, significant forces in the 21st century, I actually think it's essential that students, whether religious or not, are actually armed with an understanding of how all of these forces interact. And I would actually argue, myself being an agnostic, it's actually critical, especially for those students who don't aspire to any kind of religious faith, particularly if they're interested in maybe being a future community, political or business leader. I think they need to be armed with an understanding of these issues, because I think we can either, put religion to one side and say we're not going to allow it to affect us, and kind of say, we're not going to ask these critical questions, or we can engage with it and at least, even if we don't believe in it, look at how religion might still be a force for good in the world.